Hello everyone and welcome to this video, and today we're going to learn about the pen tool. Now the pen tool is present to us right below the magic wand tool over here, and you can see that the shortcut for a pen tool is the letter P. Alright, the pen tool creates paths with precision using anchor points and handles. This is the short version of the description of the pen tool, and I already explained what it will do. The pen tool is probably the most entire tool of the entire program. Okay, this Illustrator tool allows you to click in your workspace to create anchor points. By clicking and dragging these anchor points, you can maneuver their handles, which will give you paths, curvature, and shape. By connecting several anchor points with this tool, you can create unique hand-drawn vector shapes. Now, this tool takes some practice to use, okay? But once you have it down, all right, you have practice, you'll be able to draw really nicely and create some awesome vector illustrations. Now, I use the pen tool every single time I open Illustrator, so if it is any tool to master, it's definitely this one. All right, and you'll notice when I right click over here, it shows me other different types of pen tools, which are the add anchor point tool, delete anchor point tool, and also the anchor point tool itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the pen tool. Now, before that, let's press Ctrl Z. I'd like to show you what I have in my artboard right now. First, I have the image of a star and a letter OK. Then I have the word welcome in a design in neon format. After that, I have this picture of a kingfisher, and I have this picture of a dove, as you can clearly see over here. Now what I'll do is basically use the pen tool on these four pictures today to show you how to use them, so that you can also learn how to use the pen tool and also the magnificent properties that this tool can do. Okay, now first over here, let me remove these four pictures right over there. It's a bit more there. Okay, so first over here you can see that I have a picture over here of the letter OK and a star. What I'll do is basically use the pen tool to copy it. Okay, or you could say that I can use the pen tool to make a similar image of it. All right, so in order to use the pen tool, first you need to understand how it works. The pen tool can create anchor points, as I have clearly said, like this. After you click on your artboard, you'll see you have created an anchor point, and it can create straight lines. If you press and hold shift while using the pen tool, you can see that it creates anchor points at certain degrees. First you have 0, 35, I think that's 45, then 90, then 45, and 0 degrees again, and it can do it in several directions. Okay, and you can also create curved lines using this pen tool. Now say I create a line over here, and afterwards if I just click and hold it, you'll notice that I have the handle popping up and I can create a curved line. Afterwards it will show me this type of curved line, and then I can continue making curves, but if I don't want to, I can just click on this anchor again. Afterwards I can create a straight line again. Okay, so this is the basic of using the pen tool, as you can clearly see. And now if I join it, you'll notice that I almost have a Nike symbol over here. Let me just rotate it. Okay, and as you can see, I almost have a Nike symbol over here. I just have to go back over here, use this point over here, and what I can do is basically go over here, and in this anchor point I can also click to erase it using my pen tool, and afterwards you'll see that this is what happens. Okay, let's press Ctrl Z, and there you go. So now first, in order to create this letter OK, I have to zoom in using the zoom tool so that I can get a better picture of it. And then what I'll do is I'll basically use the pen tool or the selection tool over here and show you this. Okay, let me ungroup them both so that afterwards I can just move the star to another location. Okay, Now, if I do that, you can notice that since these both objects are ungrouped now, I can move the letter separately. All right. Now, what I'll do is basically go over here and use the type tool. Say I typed in a regular format, lorem ipsum. Okay. Now, what will happen is if I go over here, let me just create outlines for these first and create outlines for these as well. And then what I'm going to do is basically press shift and make them big. Now I'm going to press Z to zoom in, and here you can see that we have some anchor points as well. If I use the pen tool, you can see that we have the anchor points here, 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 while creating this format or font. Basically, the person who created this font has several anchor points, and you can see he creates anchor points with he uses the pen tools to create anchor points in a specific point that requires him to put at least less anchor points than usual. All right. Now here you can see that for the M we have these many, I, etc. All right. Now for this text we also have anchor points. All right. If I select this, all right, and then ungroup them, now you can see that over here we have this separate part which has anchor points, and if I use the pen tool, now you can see that this is what it looks like. Okay, and if I use the pen tool over here, select this and use the pen tool, now you can see that these has like several anchor points. Now press Ctrl Z, bring it back to normal, and now what I'm going to do is just create a copy of this. Okay, so for doing that, first I have to go to my pen tool. For now, I want my fill for my pen tool to be none. So first, let me create an object and then select no fill. All right, let's put a stroke over here to, let's say, green. Okay, let's select green. That way we can see what we are using it as. Okay, and then afterwards, what I'll do is use the selection tool, select both of them and delete it. Then I'm going to use the pen tool to mark over here. Now I'll select that point and then I'll select this part. And you'll notice that when I'm doing curves over here, I basically choose the shortest point from each of these words. So I'll intersect it right here, then I'll hold it and I'll pull it just like that until it gives me a good outline. And then afterwards, I can just go over here, down there, and then fix this point. So for this point, I want it to be, let's undo that. And I'll just click over here to create a straight line again. So select that, and now I can create it more easily, as you can see. And now you can notice that whenever I move this, it helps me to fix the fluidity of the curve, just like I have said to you before. And now you can use this fluidity to perfectly copy this word, as you can see. Let's click on this again, click on this path, create perfect, and there you go. Afterwards, I have to click on this part again, select that part. This seems to be a straight line, so I'll select that. Then I'll select this part, and over here, I'll go there and then create this point very easily. Select it again, select this path, and we're done. All right. Afterwards, we'll just select this. For here, we have a slight bend, so we can just figure this part out just like that. Select it again. There you go. Select it again. Since these are straight lines, I can easily just select that part. Okay, now we have our pen tool doing all the work over here. Now what I can do is basically select this part and then move it out, as you can clearly see. Let's zoom out a bit. Press the H for hand tool. Then we'll just bring it out. And now what I want to do is basically put this part inside this letter. So what I'll do is, again, I'll take the pen tool. Since this is easier than the rest of them, I can just go over here, fix it more easily than usual. Okay, select it again and then put it there. Then afterwards, I can just take it outside and put it back here. Okay, now that I'm done, I'll just select both of them, and then what I want to do first is select this part, and then I want to fill it as black. Afterwards, I'll select this part over here and I want to fill it as white. Okay, so afterwards you can see that my lines over here using the pencil has perfectly created a perfect copy of this. I can just go over here and remove the stroke to black, and then afterwards you can see that this is just a perfect copy of the word that I have made up there. Okay, let's press my bad, let's press Ctrl Z. Okay, now what I'm going to do is right click, select them first, then right click and then select group. And now I can group them together, and now you can see that this is like a perfect copy of this. There are no differences at all. All right, and after that, let me delete this. I'm going to copy this star over here. So let's go ahead and use the pen tool over here. Now what I'm going to do is first basically be quiet and do them all to show you how to do it. All right, for a star, it's very easy. You just have to select pad. First, I have to select this, right click, and then select. So what I'd like to do first is basically go over here and create a point over here. So let's create a point, and then I would like to select this part. There you go, and then I can simply just do that, select all the anchors. Okay, now after that, I can just select this part and move it down, and now you can see that we have a similar star right over here, as you can clearly see. Now we can just go over here, put these two words together. Okay, and then I can just right click first by selecting them and then select group. Okay, now we have two copied images and objects exactly by using our pen tool. Okay, now what I'm going to do right now is zoom out, and I'm going to use the selection tool to zoom them down so that you can later use the reference in order to make your work. Okay, now what I'm going to do is create this text. So let's zoom in finally. All right, so here you can see that we have our text over here very clearly, and it says welcome. Now I want to use the pen tool to create a line over here, then create this text. Okay, so first, as always, I'll select the pen tool. Then now I want this line to be like that, so let's do something. Press Ctrl Z and change our fill to none. Okay, then we want our stroke over here to be, let's say, green. So green it is. And afterwards, we will come back to our image over here and start creating this. Okay, afterwards it has to be like that. So I'm basically trying to trace the way this W is displayed over here. And this is wrong. Let's press Ctrl Z. Let's create another anchor point over here. And there you go. Now we have our W ready. So what we can do is use the selection tool and drag it out. Or we can just continue using the pen tool. Since I want to drag it out all at once, let's do that. Okay, then for the E, this has gone too far. Let's press Ctrl Z and put it there. There you go, that's better. Okay, Just put it over here for now. Selection tool and okay. There you go. Now I've joined it together. Afterwards, what I would like to do is use the pen tool to create this part. Right over there. Okay, now afterwards I want it to go there, so there you go. Okay, let's add in the stroke color. All right, afterwards, I'll just click on this selection tool. And since there are like points over here which needs to be fixed, so I'll just okay, and now afterwards let's create this exclamation point. Okay, for the dot I'll just put a dot over here. Okay, now that I'm done, what I'll do is basically select the picture, move it out. Let me go over here and increase the stroke point so that it's visible. Okay, now what I'm going to do is select all of them, and here I can go to my stroke also and increase their stroke weight, as you can clearly see. All right, then over here I can select the way my width will be, and here I can select the brush definition. Now I can create different types of patterns, as you can clearly see over here. Okay, and if you want more options, you can always go to this library for brush menus, and then we can select any of these options, or we can just select this over here and then open brush library, select artistic for now, artistic calligraphic, and over here we can select any one of them. For example, this one. All right, this one looks better, so I'll put this one on. And afterwards, what I'll do is select all of them, right click, group, and afterwards you can see that I can move them around just like that. Okay, now I can select the stroke color to change red, blue. Now let's say I change it to this color, or if you want to take it from like a different color palette, or you want to select this one, just use the eyedropper tool, select this color. Okay, and afterwards you'll see that's done. All right, it's not perfect, but you understand what you have to do, right? All right, and now my welcome sign is ready. You can see that if I put it over here, I almost forgot to put no fill. See, when I put it over here, it's almost similar. There are like some problems, but it's almost similar, as you can see. Okay, so after that, let's go over here and basically move these two away because we're done with this. Let's use the zoom tool to zoom out. Now that we are done showing you how to create a text with our pen tool, let's go ahead and teach you how to create the outline of a bird using the pen tool. Okay, now note, I'm creating the outline of a bird over here, and the next part I'll create the outline of another bird or a dove over here, and then make a clipping mask of it. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our picture over here, let's go ahead and outline it first. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, use the pen tool. Now what I'm going to do is basically make borders around this bird, and then we'll be able to outline it properly. Okay, so first let's use the pen tool. Okay, now I'll just go over here, this, click over here again, and then I'm going to basically put a point over here. Then we'll go over here and create our point and end it. Okay, now that we are done with our outline, let's create a stroke for this. So okay, let's put our stroke color to something more better, for example black. Okay, now after we are done, we'll just put in more points over here. There you go. Okay, I'm done with this part. Let's reduce the stroke a bit. Okay, so now let's just put it like that. And now in order to make the eye, there you go. Okay. Now afterwards, what I'd like to do is basically make a point over here. All right. So now that I'm done over here, let me go over here and click this photo, bring out. Okay. Let's select all of these marks over here and then put their stroke proportionately. All right. Now I can go ahead and inside, let's say, I group them together, and afterwards I can just go in here and let's say for this part over here significantly, I want it to be that. Okay, then I'll just select it and put it back. All right, now I'm going to use blue. Before I do that, let me just finish this point. I'm going to draw my lines over this again. There you go. Now that I'm done, I can go over here and create a blue outline or color. And for this part, I want it to be okay. Black, and then again I'm going to use this part and then change it to yellow. Okay, now what I can do right now is go again to the pen tool, create some lines over here. Okay, and now what I'll do is use the selection tool, select this part, and then change it to another shade of color. Let's say I changed it to this color. Okay, now you can see that this is what my kingfisher looks like. This is like an animated drawing of it, as you can see. All right, so now I've created my kingfisher perfectly. All right, now let's go ahead and do the next part of our image. So let's just press shift and right click group, shift. See, it's the same. All right, Now what I'm going to do right now is basically take this photo and create a clipping mask of it using our pen tool. Now in order to do that, first I need to increase the size. And what clipping mask basically means is that I'm going to make a cut out of this from my pen tool, okay? So first let's use the pen tool and drag it around these edges so that I can create the outline for my photo, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is first make this picture a bit more bigger so that it's easier for me to do. And then I'm going to zoom in, all right, just like this, then use my pen tool. Now I'll select this part. There you go. Select again. Okay, you may notice that whenever I'm using the pen tool, I always double click on this. It's because whenever I make a curved line, for example, like this, if I want it back as straight, okay, I need to click on this part again, or the anchor again, or else it will create a curved line and then I'll have some problems, setting them properly. As you can see, there's a curve over here when I try to do that, and I don't want that. So let's press Ctrl Z and then click on this again. Afterwards, you'll see the handles disappear and my line is straight so that I can choose the way I want it to be. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, now for this part, just like before, I need to select the points between which the curves meet and go ahead and try to match it just like this. Okay, then I'll select this again, select this part. Okay, let's select this. Now we're almost done. Okay, and that is our final line. Okay, after you're done, what we'll have to do is use the selection tool. Okay, let me zoom out a bit. All right, now select the selection tool, press shift and select the background also. Afterwards, press right click and then we will select make clipping mask. Okay, now after I select this, you'll notice that only my bird has appeared there, whereas the background image has disappeared. So this is basically what the make clipping mask does. And as you can see, let's undo that. When I double click on this image, you will notice that it has still the resolution or the size of the. So now what you'll notice over here is basically that whenever I click on this object 2 times, okay, now you notice that the background image has come up. But when I click on this, when I click on the line over here and then try to move it around, you can see that this is what happens. The pen tool's clip is still there, but I can move my image according to my need, as you can clearly see. Let's press Ctrl Z. All right. Now, this is how you use the clipping mask using our pen tool, as you can clearly see. All right. Now that I'm done with this, what I'll do is just go back. Okay. And I'll just zoom out. Okay. Now you can see that this is my outline. All right. So I'll just press Ctrl C, Ctrl D to create another photo so that I can compare it to you. Take this line back here. Okay, and then press Shift, choose that, right click. Okay, now that I'm done over here, I'll just select both of them. Okay, there we have it. Let me group them together. And when you're trying to like ungroup them in the resource file, make sure you just right click and then select ungroup. Okay. So now we learned some ways in order to use the pen tool, as you can clearly see. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that we're done with these parts, let's go over here and learn about the add anchor point tool, delete anchor point tool, and also the anchor point tool itself. All right. Now, what I'll do right now is zoom in over this part over here, since this is an easy way to show the anchor point tool. Let's go ahead and use it. So first, the add anchor point tool. You'll notice when I take the add anchor point tool, I have this plus symbol over here, which will basically add anchor points on anywhere I place over here. So let's say I want to add an anchor over here. I can do that. So over here, yes. over here also. Okay, now what this will do is basically create anchor points so that I can edit my curves. So the anchor point tool here does the same thing. It selects a curve and then it selects a path that I've added anchor points to and then curves them according to my need. As you can clearly see, this is what it does. All right. The anchor point tool is pretty good for use because it will help you to create all these curves, which will basically reduce the amount of time you need to use our original pen tool. All right, you can just create the points that you need, and then afterwards you'll see that it's more easier to use the anchor point tool to actually edit your curve. Okay, and also what the delete anchor point tool does over here is basically delete the points just as it says. Say I want to delete that, I can do that too. So I want to delete this, yes. This part, yes, also. And now you can see that this is how it works. But it can be a bit difficult because accidentally, if you say, let's say I just deleted this part, and here it says that we need to actually delete anchor points, okay? So we cannot select a path over here. We always have to select an anchor point. And afterwards, you can see that this is what happens. If I accidentally delete it, then it will just delete them. And in order to prevent that, you can just press Ctrl Z on your keyboard and it will undo it, as you can clearly see it here. Okay, so that was all for this video. I hope you've understood how to use the anchor point tools, pen tools, and also the add and delete anchor point tool. Okay, so thank you for watching this lesson, and I'll see you in the next video.